What's going on, everybody? It is I, the one and only Geark Skywalker. Hope you guys are having a great day today. We're going to talk about Bad Batch Episode 11, Devil's Deal. Now, this deals with, and before I go into that, let me just say, this is basically one of those episodes where it's like Episode 10. I don't really care that much about it. Now, there are more important things that did happen with this one, and this isn't really a Bad Batch focus episode, like, literally at all. It's about Hera Syndulla from Star Wars Rebels and her family, General Charm Syndulla, and his wife, Hera's mother. We've never seen her before. We've seen pictures of her. We've never actually seen her, like in person, in the flesh. And this is the first time we've gotten to see her in the flesh. And we got to see Chopper. Chopper the droid from Star Wars Rebels. He was saved by Hera's father, after the Clone Wars. Or during the Clone Wars, I should say, when the Clone Wars came to Ryloth and the Separatists enslaved the Separatists, the Ryloth, the Twi'lek people of Ryloth before Mace Windu and the clones got there, and Obi-Wan Kenobi and his clone platoon came there and saved Ryloth from destruction. So we got to see a young Hera Syndulla. She's about, I want to say she's about 12, 13, maybe 14. She's very young, but she's already very beautiful. She's already very, intelligent. She's kind of a troublemaker, but she also still has the dream of flying that we hear about her talk about in Rebels, that she always dreamed of flying and flying away from Ryloth. She always had dreams of adventure. And, her father in this episode actually says to her, I hope that, you will not have to live a life of running as I did. And ironically, she would live a life of running when she would fight with the Rebel Alliance against the Galactic Empire. And also during the Rebel Alliance's attempt and successful victory of freeing Ezra Bridger and his home planet of... what's the freaking planet? Oh my gosh. Lothal, when they freed his home planet of Lothal. And he helped as well, obviously. And she also was in a romantic relationship with Jedi Padawan Order 66 survivor Kanan Jarrus, formerly known as Caleb Dune. So this episode is when Onfrey Ta, he's a big fat Twi'lek senator. He's a big fat piece of garbage, basically. He's like Jabba the Hutt, except he's not a Hutt. He's a big fat Twi'lek, and he's greedy, and and even in the Clone Wars, you see, he doesn't care about his own planet. He literally does not even care about his own planet. He was too much of a pansy to help his own planet, and he actually doesn't like Charm Syndulla really at all, but he wants to try to blame it on everything. And in this episode, he actually gets taken out. He gets assassinated at the end by Crosshair himself, who's also on the planet during this time when the Empire is doing the ceremony that, hey, we're taking over your planet, and we're going to help you guys. They say they've built a factory for them, which is this factory for steel and, materials. And yes, it does create jobs for the Twi'lek people. But it comes at a cost of their freedom. Obviously, there's going to be a curfew like the previous episode's planet, which is the Separatist capital, Raxus. There's going to be a curfew. There's going to be restrictions. And you actually see a clone trooper. I can't remember his name at the moment, but he seems like a nice guy. And he actually even says when Hera gets in trouble when she is spying, she's spying on the steel facility because Hera's father's brother, her uncle Gobi is his name. He's a blue Twi'lek. He tells her to go out there and spy on them. On the facility, the Imperial-run Twi'lek steel facility. She gets caught by some clone troopers. This clone commander's platoon catches her. They bring her back to her parents, and he says to her father, "Listen, things are kind of tense right now, so I'm gonna let this report. I'm not gonna report this. I'm gonna let this one slide, but I'm gonna tell you right now, this cannot happen again." And he says, I understand. I can assure you it will not. So he scolds her, and she's like, whatever, I don't really care, it's just whatever. And he's just like, yeah, go inside, whatever. And you see that there is tension between them. Much like, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the struggle that Luke has with Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru in Episode 4, A New Hope. You see the struggle, you see the desire for adventure in both Luke and Hera. Now, obviously, they both have different arcs entirely. Hera becomes a pilot, and eventually she becomes a big-time rebellion general and New Republic reforming general after the Empire is destroyed and returned to the Jedi. Whereas Luke becomes the Jedi that brings his father back to the light. He helps his father bring balance to the Force and reestablishes the Jedi Order in both Legends and canon. Legends, of course, being the better canon in my opinion, as I'm going to say every time. But you see that similarity right there. You kind of see they both desire, Luke and Hera both desired to go far away from their planets, Ryloth and Tatooine, and fly among the stars and be adventurers and just live free. Just be free and live their lives, whatever they wanted to do. And they're both great pilots in their own respects. So I thought that was kind of a cool little comparisons you see that I kind of noticed with Hera and Luke. Later on near the episode, whenever they have to give up, so all the Twi'leks, they have to give up. This is a key point here. I'm going through all the key points. They're told by the Empire they have to give up all their weapons, and all they've seen is a lot of war and fighting because they've obviously been fighting the Separatists and other invaders trying to take over their people, and they fought back because the Republic and the clones have helped them, and they actually helped them take their first steps of self-liberation, only to now be taken over by said liberators, which is now the Empire. I just think that's kind of, well, as George Lucas would say, it's poetry. It rhymes, and it really, really does, unfortunately. So they get all their weapons taken away. They don't really get taken away, but they are getting taken away, and they're not. They're getting taken away, and they wouldn't get them back anyway, but they're giving them up freely because Charm even says, we need to just accept that the Empire's taking over to a certain extent, but they helped us free the clone armies of the Empire. They helped free our planet and helped us and our people self-liberate. So we need to be patient, we need to be calm, and we need to do what they say because they're just trying to help. And he doesn't really see anything wrong with it till near the end of the episode, with the Empire taking over Ryloth in many different little ways. So they all give up their weapons except for his brother, Charm Syndulla's brother, Uncle Gibo, is his name. And he takes Hera on a supply mission, and who they meet is the Bad Batch on a moon near Ryloth, and they supply them. They come in, of course, orders from the Bad Batch's employer, Sid, the Trandoshan female, voiced by Cheers waitress herself, Rhea Perlman, whose character was Carla. She was a waitress in Cheers for all 11 seasons of the show Cheers. Great show, would recommend it. And they are told to bring these weapons to this moon near Ryloth for Uncle Ghibli, Hera, and I think it's his uncle. I think it's her uncle's. I think it's her aunt. I'm not sure. It might just be someone that lives with her. It might be his daughter. I don't know. They don't really specify. And then Hera loves she's never seen a ship like that before, and she says, "Can I come aboard?" Omega says to her, she asks Hunter first, "Hey, Hunter, can she come on board?" Hunter nods. She gets on the ship. Omega shows her around the tour, and Hera says, "So what do you guys do? How are you guys here?" And Omega, do you get in trouble ever? I didn't know you guys were running all the time. And Omega goes, "We don't run all the time. I thought you were the one in trouble." I think it's interesting because Omega already can kind of see, if you're getting weapons, I think Omega's already put two and two together. Because she is very smart and because she is very insightful, Omega kind of sees, hey, there's something going on here. I don't know what, but something's going on here. So I can see that these people are in trouble. I don't think she has the Force necessarily. Again, when people say there's Force sensitive automatically. Just because someone's smart, now they might have more insight. Everyone in Star Wars, you have to understand something. Every being in Star Wars has a little bit of the Force in them because the living Force is in every single living being in Star Wars. practically every single being in the Star Wars universe, both Legends and canon, has a little bit of the Force in them. But not everyone can use the Force like the Jedi can. Like, Han Solo has Force sensitivity, that's why he's such a great pilot, that's why he's quick on his feet, but he doesn't have the abilities that Luke and Ben and Anakin and all the other Jedi have, because they have the midichlorians in them, residing in their cells, their living cells, that allow them to speak to the Force and allow them to connect to the powers of the Force, and they can use it for, you know, the different abilities that Jedi and Sith have and use within the Force. But they have Force sensitivities. Every single person in Star Wars that is a living being has some Force sensitivity. There's 6 levels. There's 6 levels of Force sensitivity in Star Wars. One is where you have a few little special skills that are because of the living Force. You're not really that great though at it. You're not really that skilled at that. And 6 is obviously you're like a god tier level, like a Palpatine or Luke Skywalker from Legends. I would not want to put Rey in that category, but I'm sure Disney wants to put her in that category because she's related to Palpatine in the Disney fanfiction trilogy. So I'm sure they would. Anyway, moving on from that little lore lesson there. The Bad Batch fleet leaves Hera and her uncle. They get back to Ryloth. And, give me just a second. So, they get back to Ryloth, and immediately they get shot down by Crosshair, who previously put a tracker on their ship as their ship was literally leaving the planet, because he's been spying on them the entire time, actually. He put a tracking beacon on their ship. He shoots the cannon, or like one of the engines. They go down. They don't know what to do. They get captured, and they sentence her and her uncle to treason, and Unfree Ta wants to. So Hera's parents get this message from one of the clones, and there's nothing he can do. His hands are tied. It's the same clone from earlier that said, I'll let this report slide, but don't let it happen again. My hands are tied, so there's nothing I can do. So he rounds up, so her father and her mother round up the old group that disbanded, that fought together and liberated themselves and liberated the planet of Ryloth during the Clone Wars and kept it liberated. They go there, they pretty much they wreck all the clone troopers on the speeders, and they get to the ship. They're the ones with the blasters because they disable all their electronics inside the AT-AT, or like the transport that Hera and her uncle are being kept in. Admiral Rampart from the previous episodes, who was assigned by Tarkin to run some parts of building this new empire up, is there, along with the clone trooper and Senator Unfree Ta, the incredibly morbidly obese Twi'lek senator. And he calls Charm a traitor. He says, your entire family is traitors. And Charm says, he's like, how dare you call my family traitors? How dare you accuse my daughter of treason and almost get her sentenced to death? And they tell him to ease off the blaster, and he does. And Unfree Ta backs up, and Admiral Rampart goes, thanks for playing your part, Senator. And then he gets shot in the head by Crosshair, who's up on a high perch. They escape, or at least they get Hera to escape along with Chopper, who brings a speeder. Chopper takes her and helps her escape. But then they get outnumbered by the clones, and her father and mother and uncle are recaptured and taken to be processed, basically. The episode ends, and yeah, that's the end of the episode 11 of The Bad Batch. I think it was, at least, like I said, it's like the last episode 10, which again, I didn't get to do a full review on because the video corrupted and it wouldn't let me upload, wouldn't let me do anything. So I couldn't do anything about that. So I just said it's a 7 out of 10. Not anything super special. Again, episodes 7 through 9, episodes 7 through 9 and the first episode, those are the best episodes of The Bad Batch. The 7 through 9, so freaking good. Episode 1 that kicked off The Bad Batch, a phenomenal long hour introduction episode to all that is going to take place and the characters and setting up how the Empire and how the clones were when the Empire first started. And episode 2 was decent, but it wasn't nearly what episode 1 was when the show first started. But overall, it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. It was 7 out of 10. I thought it was cool to see Hera and see how what we're going to be seeing, I think, is we're going to be seeing all these different characters that we saw in Rebels and different, sects and factions in the galaxy, characters we've seen before and characters we haven't seen before, and how they all react to the Galactic Republic transitioning into the Galactic Empire. What did you guys think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments down below. Once again, thank you for all my subscribers. I greatly appreciate it. For all of you who do watch my videos, love you guys. Hope you guys are all having a great summer. If you haven't already subscribed, well, I don't know what you're doing. You should subscribe because, these are pretty awesome content videos. I can speak. And make sure you also hit the notification bell so you never, ever miss another video from yours truly, the one and only Georg Skywalker. Once again, hope you guys are having a great summer. Hope you guys are enjoying all the summer content. And more to come. God bless. And as always, the Force will be with you, now and always. Take care, everyone.